Welcome to File I/O. We're going to use the streams that we've talked about a few times before to pass data in and out of a file from our applications, but we're focusing specifically on gathering information or writing information to a file. In either case, or reading or writing, number one is that you're always going to read it like you're reading a book. It's always going to start from the top, move to the right. Once you're done, go to the next line and continue down. There's actually an invisible marker that kind of tracks exactly what was the last thing you wrote or you read, just like your finger in a book. But there's also another invisible marker that you've probably heard of before, and that's EOF, and that's called end of file. We've talked about that in the streams. We may have talked about that in other things as well. The one big thing that I have as an issue with students when we talk about File I/O is that there's actually no mystery. I don't want you to think that you cannot see the data file, especially if we're reading in, that you can't see the data file that you're reading in. It just doesn't magically happen from the heavens. You will be given a data file from your instructor, or you might create one, whatever, but you're going to know what's in there. What I mean by know is that you're going to, might literally know what the data that's in there, or at least you're going to know the format of the data that's in there. Can the data change? Absolutely. But the overall format is probably not going to change much. So I'm going to talk about format probably a lot heavier than some of my other colleagues that do this, because it really matters on a strategy on how to read things in, especially with the various applications that I've seen, that and also educationally I've seen as well. But you're going to know when you're reading in, this is really important, you're going to know what the data is or what it's kind of going to look like. You're going to read that into your application in your program, decipher whatever you need to do for it, and then spit something back out. Now, when you're writing out to a file, I hate dyslexia, you're the one that's creating the file. So that means your program has got all of this crap that it needs to get rid of and dump it into a file, just like saving in your Word or in Google Drive, whatever like that. You are the one that actually gets to set the values for the program, but you also get to set the overall format on how it's laid out in the file. So again, there's absolutely, I've had students think, well, the program knows the file, just by nature. It doesn't. You're going to have to specify where the file is. You're also going to have to specify what the overall structure is, because you're going to have the chance to look at it, both from either input or from the output. So there's no mystery to this. You know that's what it's going to look like when you type it in or when you sprint it out. Now, that actually sounds really familiar, right? Because you do the exact same thing when we do our C-ins and C-outs. This looks similar, but the only thing that's different, instead of printing to a screen, which this kind of looks like, you're going to be printing it out to a file. That's the only difference. Same thing for C-in. Instead of grabbing it from the keyboard, you're going to read it in from a file. The syntax looks the same, but the stream is different.